Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a profoundly personal essay about what is, honestly, arguably, one of the most noble paths a human being can walk, the medical profession. We usually hear about the world of medicine from one of two distinct voices, right? It's either the deeply burnt-out practitioner or it's the overwhelmingly grateful patient. But today we're actually looking through a much rarer, almost poetic lens. We're exploring the viewpoint of a narrator who holds this deep, lifelong respect for the field, despite never actually becoming a doctor themselves. It's a genuinely fascinating perspective on what it truly means to be a healer. Let's jump right in.
Right off the bat, the author hits us with this. They didn't end up achieving their childhood dream of entering the medical field, but notice the absolute lack of bitterness here? It's incredibly rare to let go of a childhood ambition without harboring at least a little bit of resentment, but they have zero regrets. None. Instead, that unfulfilled dream blossomed into something else entirely. It completely transformed into this profound ability to observe, appreciate, and really articulate the immense psychological and physical weight of what doctors actually do for society.
All right, let's look at Section 1, a beautiful, unfulfilled dream, the admirer's homage.
So by trading the stethoscope for a pen, the author realized something kind of amazing. You don't have to be a practitioner of a craft to be deeply moved by it, or to champion the people who literally dedicate their lives to it. They decided to write about the profession instead, using their words to express these deep thoughts on the medical field. And honestly, it serves as a beautiful reminder that simply observing and advocating for healers is in itself a crucial role in our society. The admirer's homage carries its own unique weight, validating the unseen struggles of the folks on the front lines.
Moving on to Section 2, Humanity's Universal Struggle, the Cycle of Life. Look at this sharp divide. On one side, we've got life's vivid, bright pleasures, and on the other, the inevitable, wilting sorrows. Human life on Earth is pretty much entirely defined by these shifting states, ups and downs, strength and weakness, health and illness. Just like day and night, these shifts are totally inescapable. Illness is really that ultimate universal equalizer that literally none of us can avoid. But there is a silver lining to that heavier side of human vulnerability, and that silver lining is the doctor. They stand right there on the fault line between health and illness, working relentlessly to pull us back toward the light.
Which brings us to Section 3, a life of sacrifice, the hidden cost of healing.
Okay, let's talk about what this sacrifice actually looks like. It starts with their personal time. And the reality of this is fundamentally harsh. Just think about the sensory reality of a doctor on call. When the rest of the world is winding down, securely locked in the warmth of their homes, relaxing with their families as the rain beats against the window, the doctor's day is often just beginning again. They're grabbing their coat, heading out the door into the dark street to visit patients at off hours. Their time is never truly their own. And then there's sleep. Honestly, how many professions demand that you repeatedly overwrite your own fundamental biological need for sleep just to ensure someone else gets to wake up tomorrow? The human body strictly demands rest, but disease and sudden emergencies? Yeah, they do not respect a clock. Doctors are constantly pushing past absolute bone-deep exhaustion, working tirelessly day and night. They're operating in a perpetual state of sleep deprivation, constantly trading their own physical recovery for the survival of their patients. It's wild.
It gets even more extreme when you realize that even basic daily sustenance is entirely forfeited. When doctors are attending to critically serious patients or acting as frontline workers in these chaotic, terrifying environments, we're talking caring for victims of war, major multi-vehicle accidents, or sweeping, unpredictable epidemics, their own fundamental human needs are pushed entirely to the side. The thought of stopping to eat a meal doesn't even register when lives are literally slipping away in front of them. The patient absolutely always comes first.
But it's not just the immediate physical toll of lost sleep and skipped meals, right? They carry this immense cognitive and emotional burden too. They're the ones spending decades hunting for cures and painstaking research, or stepping directly into the path of dangerous epidemics to stop them from spreading. They've advanced medicine so far that transplanting damaged organs is an everyday reality now. But you know what's perhaps the heaviest burden of all? The emotional dissonance. Through all of this profound exhaustion, they must maintain a smile. They literally have to project unwavering hope, motivating and encouraging sick people even when their own internal batteries are completely on empty. So, where does this absolute, relentless dedication even come from? It's deeply anchored in this ancient foundational promise, the Hippocratic Oath. Think about the tremendous weight of that for a second. It's a literal pledge, echoing across centuries, demanding that a doctor commits their entire life to alleviating the sufferings of others. It means their duty is fundamentally pointed outward. They are vowing, on record, that their own comforts will always, without exception, be secondary to the suffering of a complete stranger.
Let's zoom out a bit for Section 4. India's medical contribution, a global hub of hope.
Now, the source text really highlights India here, pointing out that the country has a very long tradition of service to mankind. It's deeply ingrained in its culture and across all its religions. And because of this, Indian doctors have cultivated a really specific, highly respected reputation globally. They are renowned for a charitable attitude, immense dedication, hard work, and this very specific personal touch. It's actually super fascinating to consider why this specific cultural blend of rigorous science and deep-rooted charity makes these practitioners so uniquely demanded. They bring this incredible level of profound empathy to the sterile environments of famous hospitals all over the world.
But to export that much incredible talent, you need a monumental foundation. 300. That staggering number represents the amount of medical colleges operating within the country. Just try to picture the massive infrastructure, the sprawling campuses, and the extensive educational pipeline required to build, run, and sustain 300 distinct medical institutions. India essentially acts as one of the largest and most vital reservoirs of medical training on the entire planet.
And from those 300 colleges, a veritable army of healers is produced. 30,000 new doctors graduate every single year. 30,000! These professionals fan out across a radically diverse landscape. Some walk into the towering, ultra-modern glass hospitals of major cities, using the absolute latest equipment for incredibly complicated operations. But others travel down the dusty, unpaved roads of remote villages to work in small, private clinics. They ensure that the light of modern medicine reaches every single corner of society, bridging that massive gap between cutting-edge technology and basic rural necessity. And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, Beyond Allopathic Medicine, a Spectrum of Healing.
Because healing is definitely not a monolith. The source highlights a really broad spectrum of care, divided into 3 main pillars, showing how humanity addresses health from multiple different angles. We've got allopathic medicine, which is your modern hospitals and complicated high-tech operations. But running right parallel to that, we have traditional systems, things like Ayurvedic, Unani, and homeopathic medicine. And then there are innovative or alternative practices like Chinese acupuncture, acupressure, yoga, and nature cures. These systems are all working simultaneously, catering to the mind, the body, and the spirit in completely different ways to mitigate the endless sufferings of humanity.
And just like that, we returned right to where we began, the child with a beautiful dream. The author never implemented this dream of becoming a doctor, but by so deeply understanding the sacrifices, the lost sleep, the skipped meals, the constant emotional toll, and the immense global effort, they developed an unwavering respect for those who did take the oath. They have absolutely no regrets because they discovered a really profound truth. Holding a deep, abiding respect for these healers and acting as an advocate for their struggles, well, that is a vital and meaningful contribution to the medical field all by itself.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. You may not wear the white coat and you might not have taken the Hippocratic Oath, but how will you recognize and honor the healers who sacrifice so much for the rest of us? Take a beat to truly think about that, because appreciating our healers ensures that the very system that catches us when we fall continues to survive. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpack this beautiful tribute to the medical profession. Keep learning and stay curious.